I'm Diane.
Hi, good.
How's it going? I'm good. This is awesome. Great.
We talked around a little bit, and talked about how it's not a direct adaptation, that you're taking some general ideas from it.
Yes.
You've got female lead, you're doing the spin on a genre that's very popular. So for you, what's the attraction of kind of spinning the zombie expectations in this type of genre and style?
Well, to be honest with you, it scared the crap out of me at first because I'm such a big zombie fan that I'm like, everyone's going to hate us. All they're going to talk about is how it's zombies on the CW, and I was really worried about it. But it's so, once we got into it, it's so unusual and cool, and I just loved what we were coming up with. And I think it's, why not open it up? Because I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. I will watch The Walking Dead, I will watch The Talking Dead, and then rewatch. If you guys know Chris Hardwick, I want on that show more than I want Oxygen. But we're not trying to do that. So don't try to outdo something that's awesome. Put a spin on it. And I feel like this spin is really cool, and it's interesting to me to have a procedural. I mean, first of all, the character just being where she's at, which is having this quarter-life crisis, and then you're dead, and this big thing that's happening to you, you can't talk to anyone about. So you're dead, and you have to eat brains, and then you're just having a regular conversation with your mom about why you didn't go to your cousin's wedding or some shit, and you're like, I'm dead and have to eat brains. You don't understand. But so that's interesting. But also the procedural, getting the memories of the people, of the person whose murder you're trying to solve is something that's kind of unique. You have people who are invested cops, and I'm searching out murder victims because my mom was murdered, and all of those are very interesting. And we've seen those, and they're great. And this is a different take on that. It's this investment is so personal. She's experienced this. The person is pushed off a balcony to their murder, and she felt what that was like to be oh my God, this is it. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. And how you then go about as a layman, not as a cop, pursuing getting justice for that person is pretty interesting. And so I think.
What are the rules for that process? So when she eats brain, does she get everything very clearly, or is it a matter of getting?
No, she gets little inspired flashes, if you will. So she'll. So for example, in the pilot, she's at this crime scene, and she's just kind of there, and the windows drapes blow off this balcony, and it goes into the drapes blowing off the balcony as something happens, and it's usually the flashes that she gets are from intense moments. It's not usual. It's not she's someone's scrambling an egg and I'm watching that. It's not like being John Malkovich where you're please don't let me jump into him when he's on the toilet. It's more flashes from when stuff is happening. So
do we get to see that person's life, or is it
no? You don't really get to see. It's more impressions of that person's life, and I think sometimes you get a bigger impression, and sometimes there's more of a experience with the people in that person's life, or you'll be able to find out more about that person, so you get more of an overall perception. But it's not like she eats their brain and remembers what it was like to be them at 15 and make out for the first time or something. So,
can you talk a little bit about sort of balancing the procedural elements with the ongoing story elements, and if any of those sort of
crossover
sort of thing, will they extend past more than one episode solved?
Well, I feel I'm not sure if any of the actual A-story mysteries will go over. Thus far, they haven't gone over the Co-Showrunner episode, but it'll be very similar to, if you saw Veronica Mars, it's similar to Veronica Mars, and there's the case of the week, and then there's the Lily Kane murder in the first season, so it's case of the week, and then the zombie canes over the course of the episode. So that'll be kind of an ongoing thing, an ongoing struggle for Liv, an ongoing thing that's trying to be solved and understood, the zombie apocalypse being prevented, and then it's the case of the week. Because you have time for that when you're saving off the zombie apocalypse. Why not solve this murder?
Her fiance, I know she distances herself. I mean, is it going to be romantic storylines?
Oh, totally romantic storylines. We didn't cast Buckley because he's a genius. It's just Major takes off his shirts and scene. There's definitely he's too adorable and perfect, and there's definitely because what's better unrequited romance is great. I love it. I love writing that, but also that romance when it's I could be with you, but there's this thing that I can't tell you about that's preventing it, and even as a person that's invested in her, you're there's not enough condoms in the world. Don't sleep with with him. So you get it, and that's so much. It's so sad and also romantic, you know.
We joke about Buckley taking off his shirt, but this is the CW. So what's it like doing a zombie show for the CW?
It's like doing a zombie show with really attractive people.
Are you trying to make it edgy? You know, do you feel that it could be edgier, or are you trying to make it for a certain audience?
Like the sexy part edgier or the zombie stuff edgier? The sexy part edgier? Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to. Like people will be watching and be like, why are clothes on people? I don't understand. You know, I mean, we wouldn't do it for like just that purpose, but if it calls for it and you want a sexy show and you want to push, I want standards and practices to work their ass off. And if I can make them have to go to their higher up and ask them if it's okay, my job as a writer is done.
But what about the zombie stuff? Do you find that you're pushing that a little bit?
Well, we're going to push it. We're not going to ever compete with The Walking Dead, and that's not what our show is. So that kind of like gore isn't something that we'd be really doing, and violence is not really our bag either. So it's just totally what's interesting and cool. And if sometimes what's cool is kind of gory or shocking, or someone gets something cut off, then then that's a different story. But violence for violence sake, just to kind of push the envelope, is not really. Not that was your question, but just yeah.
Ready?
Oh, sure. So thanks, guys.